So let's talk about the women today. How'd you get into the women issues in religion?
Yeah, it's been a long road. I grew up with women as like a pack of women, he, teaching me my life in general. I didn't have a very masculine leadership in my family and my family's history. And so my grandmother was the one who was just so compassionate and always there for me. And she taught Sunday school for 63 years, and she didn't hardly miss a week every week. I mean, that's a lot of singing about baby Jesus, right? So I looked at that. I always was talking to her growing up, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't you ever, a priest or something bigger? And she's like, oh, I couldn't be that. And I'm like, because you didn't want to? No, I couldn't. They don't allow it and stuff. And I was like, it was always just really odd to me. I was just like, why not? She was the most spiritual woman. Like, the men that I saw go through the church compared to her couldn't hold a candle to her spirituality. And I mean, this woman is just like, kindness was just her being was kindness and helping others. And so it was always in the back of my mind. And then I'm living in Italy, and this is in 2012. And I run across a newspaper that said that the Archbishop of Milan is currently on his deathbed, and he is scolding the Pope back then, Ratzinger, German Pope, and he is scolding the church for being 200 years out of date. And I was like, what does that mean? Like 200 years out of date? That's really, we're talking about way in the future. And immediately this like bolt of lightning came through me and was like, female Pope. And this energy of this story just poured through me. And so I started scribbling on a piece of paper, like spiral notebook, about this story. And I had never written anything like novelesque. I'd done a lot of research in psychology and everything like that when I was working on my doctorate. But I was just literally like scribbling and just getting this story out, and not professional writing, anything like that. And then it came into this, what is now Her Holiness, and this fun, it's a Da Vinci Code type thriller novel.
Yeah.
That is also, I don't know, a lot of people know Conclave came out. So it's pushing these boundaries in religion and spirituality with females being equal. And so the timing of this couldn't be better for what's going on.
Yeah. I was looking up like where you got that title, Her Holiness. And, I looked up the definition of Her Holiness. It says it's a formal title used to address or refer to high-ranking female religious leaders, signifying their esteemed position and spiritual authority. I love that. And I know that that's very rare in a lot of religious organizations around the world, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that the shift is starting to take place. There are very powerful women in religious organizations. We know that, but in some of the main ones, it's still they're still a couple hundred years behind.